Isn't it funny how the people that you roll with, have a certain effect on you? You know, this is a very random thing. The thing is, um, I have this friend, and we all hang around, and this my friend is accustomed to using the word indeed in most situations. So we're going out and then we're checking out, for example, at the grocery store, and the lady at the grocery checkout asking, "Sir, do you want me to scan this too?" He'll be like, "Indeed." Or maybe, for example, we're going out there and there's a clash between two people, and he's narrating, he's trying to, explain the situation or argue out something. After saying something, he'll be like, "Indeed." So after a while, we realized that everyone in our circle, whenever we go out there and say something, we started using that word, indeed, without even knowing that we're doing it. But it boils down to all the sayings that we're familiar with, that birds of a feathers flock together. Show me your friend and I'll tell you who you are. Or you're an average of the 5 people that you walk with. So the people that you walk with, the people that you hang around, have a certain effect on you, consciously or unconsciously. But today I want us to look at this in a different lens. The focus is how to see good in the things around you, in the people that you walk with. And that reminds me of one of the famous African stories that my uncle used to share with us back then. It's the story of the African king. In fact, this is really good. You're gonna love this. It's the story of an African king, and this African king used to have a best friend that it was a long-time best friend because they grew up together. So this best friend of the African king he has an habit of making the remark, towards any situation, good or bad. His remark to any situation is, "This is good." Whatever happens, that's all it is. This is good. And he's so used to saying that in every situation. He could be driving off and falls off the cliff, and when he comes out of the car, he'd be like, "This is good." He could get punched in the face and his remark would be, "This is good." He could be walking out there on the street and it starts raining, and maybe he's going for a job interview in a fresh outfit and everything, and he gets wet. He doesn't look at it in a bad way. His remark would be, "This is good." And it's a very, very good habit to have. If anything, it would really, really affect how you respond to things. But that is not the full story. Now, to continue the story, so there was this special day. The king and his best friend went on an hunting expedition, and the friend had the task, the responsibility of loading the gun for the king. So he loads the gun, the king fires the shot, and he apparently did something wrong in the process, because at some point while the king was firing those shots, he blew off his thumb because his best friend did something wrong. So after the king, blowing off his thumb, and it was like, "Oh my God, what have you done?" He lost his thumb, and he was like, "What have you done?" And his friend was like, "Oh," and you already know the remark. You know what he's gonna say. So the friend was like, "This is," and the king was like, "No, there's nothing good about this." So the king was infuriated, and he threw his friend into jail. So over a certain period of time, I think like over a year or something, the king has moved on. The friend is moving on while in jail. So the king happened to go on another hunting expedition in an area where he's supposed to stay clear of. So as he was hunting, I mean during the process of hunting, he was doing this, and some cannibals came out. I believe you know cannibals. They came out, and they are known for eating human flesh, and burning people to stakes, and cutting them in pieces. So they captured this king and took him to their village, and they had him on stake. They had him tied to the stake, and took off his clothes, had their knives sharpened because they were about to cut him in pieces. So in the process of taking off his clothes and tying him to the stake, they noticed that he's missing a thumb. And there was this secret thing about the cannibals, because they believe it's unwholesome to feast on a human being that's not whole. And after realizing that he has no thumb, they believed they saw it that it was kind of, to the cannibals, that it was kind of unrighteous of them to feast on an unwholesome human being, a human being that's not complete. So they untied him and they let the king walk. And on his way back to his palace, to his village, he reminisced about his friend in the past, and he was filled with remorse. So instead of heading back to his palace, he went straight to the prison, and he went to talk to his friend, and he saw him, was like, wow. He narrated all the story, the entire story of whatever happened, and he was like, it's true what you always say. It is actually good that my thumb was blown off. And the friend was like, yeah, it is good. And they had this back and forth. So while they were having this conversation going on, the friend was like, actually, it's also good that I didn't go with you, because had it been that I was with you, then we will not be here where we are today. So the whole thing is just about, the biggest lesson, the biggest takeaway about this story is that everything happens for a purpose. And if you can, tweak the lens through which you look at the world around you, and you look at, the way you look at the world around you, and you see things from a different perspective, you would realize that everything happens for your own good. It is what it is. That's one of my biggest takeaway from this lesson. That even if you look at whatever the situation is, the heartbreak, the tragic losses, the bad things that happen, it's just a matter of the mindset. The mindset, your outlook, how you see things. If you see things differently, your whole life will be different. If you're positive about things around you, you would live a positive life. And if you're negative and you're complaining all the time about things happening around you, you would live what you attract. So, on that note, I hope you learn from the story, and whatever happens to you, you go out there and tell your friend, this is good. And that could be your word for the entire week. And people will just be like, wow, what's going on? Whatever happens, just use those 3 words. This is good, because everything is going to start working for your own good. Fellow YouTubers, families, and friends, once again, my name is Dapo Ibrahim. Thank you for coming on my YouTube channel. Until next time, love and respect, people.